All right, man, back from a little break, and we are back with our special guest. I don't know how many hats and titles we can actually say, but the brand ambassador for Mr. Allen's Elite.
That's one of them, yeah.
Brand ambassador for Pogo.
Not Pogo. Well, I mean, you know what? It falls underneath the same umbrella.
Okay.
And Pogo and Souls Inc. in Miami is like brother and sister to Mr. Allen's.
Okay.
So it's kind of like move as a unit, but I'm not really as hands-on with Pogo and Souls as I am with Mr. Allen's.
Yeah.
And by the way, we dropped the Elite.
Oh, just missed.
It's just going back to Mr. Allen's.
Okay.
And it seemed like, we did such a great job in marketing it for the last 3 years. It's like everything now is Elite. You got Elite Nails, Elite Dispensaries, Elite Car Wash, Elite this, Elite that. So it's kind of like, you know what? Let's just cut the Elite. Let's just go back to traditional.
Yeah, we're going to get into that,
Not
too,
doing a 29 250 thing.
We definitely going to get into that.
That's taking it way back from Mr. Allen's.
And you know what? I want to break that down, too, later in the show.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Former buyer for Puffer Reds.
Yeah. Did a stint there. Career started off at Strictly Sportswear.
Yeah.
7 Mile in Archdale.
So if you don't know by now, we got Ty Mopkins in the building. Give him a round of applause.
What up, though? Appreciate y'all having me, man. I appreciate this.
Absolutely, man. We were talking for a few months, and we wanted to get you on the show, man.
Right.
We see the movement out there, and we wanted to bring you in and talk about it.
Pick your brain a little bit, because it seemed like you got your hands involved with everything around the city.
Right.
You're a native son of the city,
right.
and the things that mean a lot to Detroit fashion-wise,
right.
You've had a hand in helping bring back. I remember a few years back, it was the top 10.
Yeah, Adidas top 10,
Yeah, and I mean, I remember just for me, I remember having like older cousins, older homies that I saw rocking top 10s, and I just wanted them. And then for a while, they were you couldn't find them anywhere.
Right.
Like they had disappeared.
Right.
And then you help kind of usher and bring that back, especially, here in the city of Detroit, because it means so much to us.
That right there was an interesting fight. I fought for years with Adidas to even just to even have a mention of top 10s. And this is when I was with Puffer Red. So, we would go to the shows. We would go out to Portland to their headquarters, and they would bring us in as focus groups and key retailers and want to know what trending, what's hot, what do we see in our market. And for years, I would always preach, top 10s, top 10. Top 10s forms decades concords. Like the East Coast was big on Superstar Shell Toes.
Right.
West Coast was always big on Sambas and stuff like that. Like, down south was Gazelles and Samoas and things like that. But Detroit had a rich heritage of these brands. So I would always sit there and I preach and it seemed like I was begging, and I had to step back because it's like I'm actually begging this company for us to give them our money.
Yeah, please take our money.
Yeah, please take our money because, this is what we want. This is what top 10s. I feel like this. Adidas has a rich history in the city of Detroit, and I would catch flack from some of my East Coast counterparts, West Coast, like, oh, here come Ty. He always about to talk about top 10s. And then I would show them footage and show them old pictures of just everyday people in Detroit back in the 70s and 80s of us rocking it, with our stuff. And of course, YBI was notorious for wearing Adidas top 10s and all that stuff too. And they had a big movement with that. And so finally, a new regime came over to Adidas. And then they started listening. And they said, you know what? I understand. I see the passion. And you've been talking about this shit for 3 years. So let's see what we can do. And they made a big campaign with it. They used another Detroiter in the ad campaign, which was Danny Brown. He was a bigger part of it. And they said, well, let's do an event. And I said, you know what? If we do an event and with this Adidas top 10, we have to do it a Detroit-themed way. So we went out, and with the help of Adidas, we went out and we rented out American Coney Island.
The best Coney Island.
Yes.
As far as Lafayette and American is concerned.
Yes, it is.
I don't want to have that argument.
I'm just saying.
I don't want to have that argument.
I'm on American side, man. I'm
not saying that the same people own it, but I have seen people from Lafayette take buns over to American, and I have seen Lafayette people take some chili over to American. So I'm not saying it's probably the world's biggest gimmick marketing scheme, and it works for them.
It definitely works.
So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, maybe together. But I prefer American as well, too. So we teamed up with American Coney Island, and instead of doing a traditional event like how people do in their stores and all that, so I wanted to relaunch the Top 10 with a taste of Detroit. Meaning that, when you think of Detroit, you think of course, you think of Adidas, and you think of Coney Islands. So I just wanted to take the American Coney Island, we gutted everything out, and we made it like a Adidas showroom in there.
Dope.
And so we had DJ BJ, DJ Steady Rock, DJ in there, and we had by invite only. And so we only opened up the guest list for like 2 hours. And we had over 1,500 people register. We had even more, but we had to cut it off. But we can only fit 200 people in American Coney Island. So we did the event, invite only. People came in, got free Top 10s, got free Adidas T-shirts and all that. All you can eat Coney dogs, chili dogs, and all that. And it caught worldwide. Where I was getting write-ups in Footwear News, Slams, Kicks, Complex, all that stuff, because they never seen anything like that. Because traditionally you do stuff in your store.
Right.
Now all of a sudden in the industry, I'm not saying no name, I see certain retailers, not Detroit retailers, just all around the world, national retailers, doing stuff other than in their stores now.
Right,
so I don't want to say that I lit the fire to make it happen.
I say it for you.
But no, well, I mean, one thing about me, man, I'm always gonna be humble and honest and all that,
Yeah.
But that was the thing with Detroit, and we sold out of almost 700 pair within an hour.
Jesus.
And Adidas never seen anything like that. And now they listen a little bit more, but I'm having an issue with them now going back to how they used to be, where it's like, listen, this is what I need, this is what I need. But now, I understand trend change, and at the end of the day, Detroit is not the only market Adidas have.
Right.
So they got to listen to other things too. But at the end of the day, sometimes I go on my rant on my Instagram page and I say, never forget the streets and never forget the heritage that brought you to where you at. One thing about us in Detroit, we like what we like.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to force anything onto us. You're not going to force a knit. You're not going to force a certain way on how a shoe look. We are who we are, and that's how we are.
We got our own style,
Yeah,
our own
of
style
course.
of dress.
Of course.
Like if anywhere in the world, if I see somebody with some Yays, the Al Wu at the time, some Jabros and some Jordans, I know where you from.
And you know
just
what?
Off that silhouette.
They say that about us all the time. They was like, listen, I could just tell you from Detroit, or I could tell when somebody from Detroit, just the way we walk, man, just the way we talk, all that stuff.
Man, I was out of town. I got family in Tennessee, and we was out, and me and my brother, we got dressed. We just about to go to Walmart or whatever. That was before Walmart was even down here. They were like, "What? Like, where y'all about to go?" We about to go to the store. Like, why y'all getting dressed up?
That's all we know.
Like,
this is how we dress.
This is normal. This is normal clothes. Like,
Right.
this is just Detroit swag. I don't know.
Right.
It is what it is.
That's one thing about us. We gonna look good. We gonna eat good. We gonna talk good.
Yeah.
That's what we gonna do.
Definitely. So I did the Adidas. I know. So how do you think about how Adidas is doing now? I mean, I know they got the Kanye
Right.
and everything. All they shoes got all of them look the same now. All of them moved to the little tubular or whatever, however you pronounce it, whatever.
Okay.
But Adidas is like getting popular again. Like,
Yeah, but the one thing that with Adidas, they was always popular to us, and now the rest of the world is trying to see, and they're catering to a different market. Like what I said earlier about how, Detroiters always stick to one thing.
mm-hmm.
So the one thing I do see happening, and it's not to offend anyone, I see them tend to forget about what got them where they're at here in Detroit. And, I know we're just a small piece of the pie, but yes, trending worldwide and across the country, yes. I mean, they're on the rise. But here with us, it's kind of like, yeah, we see what you're doing there, but don't forget about us.
Right.
We had a run with Adidas last year with Concords.
Mm-hmm.
They brought out all the color pattern of the Concords, and Detroit just went crazy over it. They brought out forms, and we went crazy over it. Certain things for certain markets, and going further into the industry, that's some of the things that I had to realize, I understand, it's a bigger world than just Detroit. So I understand your question. I see it. But I just think it could be a little bit better for us in Detroit.
Man, last thing on top 10s, I remember this was probably about 2001, 2002. Some of my younger folks, they went to state or whatever, and we go up to East Lansing, and I went and I copped these top 10s. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I'm happy about them. They're like, no, what is those?
Right.
I'm like what? Like, yo, like, they top 10s, man.
You have to be from here. You have to be from here, and you have to be from our environment and our culture. So people always say one of the most overused cliches now is for the culture.
Yeah.
People don't understand what culture they're doing it for. So when people say that, and people who I know don't really understand what the hell they saying, they just saying it because they think it sound cool, like lit and litty and whack shit like that. All that is kind of whack to me when you say stuff like that. But when you say for the culture, well, my culture didn't do that. You know, my culture was like how you said, when you got them top 10s, we treated those like it was cold, like it was just fresh, because that's what we grew up on. Because coming up as a kid, I came up in the late 70s, early 80s and things like that. So we see shit like that as a sign and sense of accomplishment. Like, I made it. You know, and yeah, I know that's kind of sad you want to say shit like that, but when we was coming up, we didn't really have significant role models or things like that. You know, I mean, let's be honest. Our role models was the street hustlers, the cats. So if we saw a guy dressing fresh as hell, we thought that was success. If he was Adidas down, or if he was really getting money, he was buying Fila. And, you know, we gave acumens for Fila, meaning finally I'm leaving Adidas. Because now it's like, listen, I got money. I ain't about to play Adidas because all y'all playing Adidas. I done found something better. So now I'm with Fila. So now finally I'm leaving Adidas. So now I'm Fila, where I'm wearing $100 shoes. I'm wearing a $300 velour outfit, and I'm just getting money right now. So you have to be from this environment. I think one other city that adapts to top 10s like us is Boston. Okay. You know, me and my big bro, Michael Bivens from New Edition, we have an argument back and forth about who rep top 10s the most. Is it Boston or Detroit? And, you know, he says a little spiel, but nobody rep top 10s like we do here in Detroit.
No. Yeah. How did you get your start in the fashion game?
How can I say this? I was a customer that already knew about fashion.
Okay.
And I became real close friends with the Hamlin family, and they owned Strictly Sportswear.
Okay.
And, you know, I always wanted to do buying, I always wanted to be in fashion, and I always wanted to dress people. Because I always was a cold dresser. People look at me, especially by me being kind of like a heavy, husky guy. You know, they be like, oh, man, big boy get fresh. Big boy know how to push it together. You know, put me together. So at the time, during my first marriage, my wife, her sister was married to the son of Strictly Sportswear. His name was Calvin Hamlin. And, you know, we would always be around, you know, and he was like, hey, man, you know, I want to give you a chance, man. You know, come work up in the shop and all that. And during that time, I got real close to the mother. Her name is Dorothy Hamlin. God rest her soul. She was one of the ones that took me underneath her wing and just taught me about business, whether it was clothing or just life skills about giving back to your community and building your community and uplifting your community. And she just took me underneath her wing, and it just branched off like wildfire. And this was during the time when we would wear shit like Coogee sweaters. When Coogee sweaters was the shit when it first came out. When you had the Guess denims, you had the Guess outfits, you had Rockports, you had we was wearing Hush Puppies, we was wearing Maurice Malone, we was wearing FUBU. See, I came around when you had collections like FUBU, Maurice Malone, Willie Esco, all that shit, Jabot, Guess, everything. When everything was popping, when clothes were really clothes back in those days. And from there, I just learned the business. Was going to trade shows in Las Vegas called the Magic Convention that everybody seems to go to now. And I just came about and basically learned on the fly the business part of it. I already knew about styling. I already knew about what was sweet and what was fresh just because of where I grew up at. I grew up on Grand River in Livernois, right over there by McKenzie High School. And so that was in the heart of Hustle Central, where we all was, you know, we all have a past. And we all had to do things because there wasn't opportunities out there for us. So we all had to do things in order to buy this sweet shit, like Van Grack, Elysees, Diodore. See, I'm naming these brands now that trying to surface, but these are the things that was high end and top to us back in the day.
Man, it's funny how the mood will change on an entire brand. Like, the clothes ain't changed, the style ain't changed, but people have told you that this not cool no more, and now you just
I tell people all the time, man, don't let nobody dictate your fresh. If you feel it's fresh, you wear it.
All right.
Can't nobody dictate your fresh.
So you were dealing with Strictly. So I've heard, and I tell this to people as if it's true, because I just want it to be true.
Right.
Was at one point Strictly Sportswear the number one seller of Air Force Ones in the country?
At one point we were, but we was the number one Adidas account too. But we sold a lot of Air Force Ones, because you gotta remember, Strictly Sportswear back in the early 90s to the late 90s was like a tourist attraction. So we was the spot to go to.
For sure.
And we was right down 7 Mile and Archdale, and it was the west side of Detroit. And we would have people from all over come in, or when Ice Cube come in town, when celebrities come in town, the first place they would want to go is Strictly Sportswear.
I remember the counter on Strictly's had everybody's
all
picture
those pictures.
on it.
It's like a wall of fame. You walk in there, I advise anybody, stop in there, say hi to Kathy, and just go in there and soak up some of Detroit really history when it comes to retail with fashion retail.
And spend some money there.
Oh yeah.
Because we needed to stay there.
Strictly, I can say this, and that was my first spot ever. But Strictly Sportswear will always have a piece in my heart, because that's where I started off at. That's where the first opportunity came, and I always want to see them do well. I always want to see them do good. Even though I've been gone almost 20 years, that still holds a place in my heart, because one thing you can't deny history.
Right.
And that place has a lot of history.
Oh, yeah.
Man, On the Move, Mr. Maul used to be up there all the
Hey,
time.
man, I remember they had a commercial on the Move with Mr. Maul.
That was my first TV thing with Mr. Maul and Sean P. With Nat Morris and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
One of the guys you go to high school with, man, he was always a dope dresser. He was in one of the commercials for them or whatever, rocking the Coogis and everything.
Hey, man, I
like
bought my
that.
outfits from my senior pictures from Strictly.
For sure.
and that's how I really got my start in marketing, and how I learned the game on how to brand and all that, because I would write all the segues for On the Move with Mr. Maul, or Video Go-Go, or Nuke at Night. And when they would come to Strictly Sportswear, and I would write the script for the fashion show, or what we're going to say, or I used to write the scripts for the radio when you hear the commercials on Strictly Sportswear. I would write the jingles and things like that. So really, like I said, being at Strictly was more than just working on the sales floor, because I learned how to do marketing. I learned how to do merchandising, visual merchandising, and all that shit like that. So, like I said, that's why it will always have a special place in my heart, and I will always give them props, especially Dorothy Hamlin.
So you started at Strictly. And
Right.
What'd you do after Strictly? How'd you get to?
At Strictly, so at that time, just like most family business, you kind of went as far as you can go, and they wasn't going to let anybody be partners, and which I understand, because it's a family business. You want to pass that shit down.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say outgrew Strictly. I kind of went where it was a point where I couldn't go no more, and I knew they couldn't afford to pay me any more than what it was. But my worth was buzzing out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to start my own little clothing store, and it was called Hip Hop University. And it was right there on Grand River.
Davison.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So me, my partner at the time was Primus Simpson, and we started that, man. We just had the connects. I had the retail and the clothing connects. He had the connects with the radio station, marketing, and advertising, and it caught fire. I mean, it caught fire so much we was getting breaking into every other week, it seemed like, because we was the first national retailer, to sell Mitchell & Ness. That was at the time throwback jerseys was at the height.
Right.
You gotta remember, this is like 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
And I never forget how I really got the Mitchell & Ness. How we got the Mitchell & Ness contract was, we would go to Philadelphia to the flagship store every week and go buy 50 to 60 jerseys at $300 a piece. Bring them back to Detroit and sell them for like $500. So yeah, we would add a little tax on it, but at the time, you couldn't find it. You couldn't find it nowhere. And this was before .com and social media, and all this was just word of mouth. Just people in the hood coming to buy them. And we would just kill them with the Mitchell & Ness account. Till one day I went to an All-Star game in Philadelphia. I forget what year that was. I think it was 2002 or 2003 when the All-Star game was there.
That's when AI won MVP.
And I ran into a close personal friend who was already in the industry. And he was like, "What you doing out here?" I said, "Man, I'm trying to buy some more jerseys, take it back to Detroit." He said, "You don't have a Mitchell & Ness account?" And I was like, "Nah." He was like, "Hold on, I'm going to introduce you to my man who can get you laced." And so at this time, this when throwback jerseys was at the highest. Jay was wearing them. Puff,
right.
Outkast, everybody who was everybody was wearing them. And this was the time when Jay-Z video Girls, Girls, Girls came out. And he was wearing that Sammy Boff Washington Redskin long sleeve number 33 maroon one. And I was getting calls for that like crazy. People, man, I give you $1,000. I give you $500. I just need that jersey. And so he linked me up with one of the guys that was influential in the marketing, starting Mitchell & Ness. His name is Big Rube. And he said, man, you ain't got to do all that no more. Hook me up. Long story short, I ended up getting the Mitchell & Ness account right then and there, where I was buying them wholesale now. So it's like I didn't have to go buy from the stores and take them back to Detroit. So now the prices came down a little bit more because now I can charge what Mitchell & Ness charging. And, man, Hip Hop University, it was a gift and it was a curse. Because we was in business for almost 3 years, but we never made a profit because at the time we was young, we was dumb, and we treated it more as a rap label than maybe it was like a clothing store. Because at the time, I would be around at any given time 20, 30, 50 people. We're going to a club and we buying everything because at the time, we just trying to hype it up. So it's kind of like when, I always say this, it's kind of like when Dre left NWA and went to Death Row. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was hype, it was glitz, because you would see all of us at all the events. We would spend so much money on bottles, just trying to be seen. So people are like, oh yeah, that's them Hip Hop University guys. We need to go shop with them. Yeah, it helped, but it also hurt us because we became that popular spot because of where our location was at. Yeah. And we got broken into so many times, and insurance went up. Police was like, listen, man, y'all gonna have to leave because we not gonna be coming here like this every other day. And they was honest with us because every other night our alarm would go off because people would break into it trying to get it. And it hurt because it was my own people. Mm-hmm. So that folded. And then after that, I went and helped launch a store in Northland called No Limits. And this is when Northland was at the peak. So we took the Mitchell & Ness account and, joined it with No Limits. And I helped branded that to where it was a popular clothing store in Detroit.
Man, I miss Northland, man.
Yeah, me too. I'll tell you a story about that soon, too. That my dream was to find a group of investors and buy it. But the foundation of Northland is so bad that it would take so much money. You would have to tear down Northland in order to build it back up again. Wow. So that being said, I was with No Limits for maybe 4 years, got them to be a household name. And then at that point in time, I think I lost the love for it. Because at that time, I was really seeing that more people was making more off of me than I was making off myself. So I kind of went to a hiatus. I said, you know what, let me fall back. And that's when I branched off and was with Puffer Reds. Eric Williams is an excellent business owner, but I think I fell victim there as what I did with Strictly Sportswear. When it's a family-owned store, gotcha, you can only go so far. Right. And it's nothing against nobody. It's because at the end of the day, family, they need something to pass down to their kids and their kids and their kids. And that's how you keep it up. You see furniture stores and jewelry stores and people that own supermarkets and all that do it all day long. They pass it down and be in business fucking 70 years.
Generational wealth.
Yeah. So that's when I said, you know what? This one I really was peaking because I'm coming off help brand Puffer Reds, get it. And this is a store in Ypsilanti.
Right.
And I had people
driving from the city
come and see me.
I drove out from the city to Ypsi.
Yeah.
I took my son out there because I remember 2 Chainz was at Puffer Reds.
Yeah. And so that's something that we did where I came up with this with the promotion 2 cans for 2 Chainz. Yeah. So my man Drew Dada from Def Jam was bringing 2 Chainz out. He said, I tell you what, man, if you can come up with a charity event for bring 2 Chainz out there, I'll bring them out there. I said, okay, well, 2 Chainz. And this was around Thanksgiving time. And I said, I got it. We're going to do 2 cans for 2 Chainz. If you bring 2 cans of food or whatever, you get to meet 2 Chainz. And we had almost 4,000 people that came to Ypsilanti. We had lines wrapped it was so crazy. It was probably fucking more people in line to see 2 Chainz than the population of Ypsilanti.
Right. Like they about to go to the football game.
Now, this is the time when social media is just beginning. So I'm just now catching the buzz on social media. People follow me and doing things like that. So, that right there was a blessing, too, just to be at Puffer Reds and just to soak up some of the knowledge that I did get from Eric Williams and everything like that. And everywhere I've been, I never left on bad terms. People understand. We all, when you get to a certain age, we all make business decisions.
Absolutely.
And it was a business decision. Just, then at that time I had 3 retailers coming after me. 2 of them was out of state. I'm not going to say the names, but 2 of them was out of state. And then it was Mr. Allen's. And people always say like, oh man, no man, Mr. Allen. At the time, 29, 2 for 50.
Yeah.
And at that time, that was because the owner, Alan Bishop, did a great job in marketing that.
For sure.
Let me tell you, I used to see the financial books of those days, and it probably made more money than these stores trying to sell stuff today at full price. Just that whole 29 or 2 for 50 campaign. You got to imagine that stuff. If you're a native Detroiter, that is embedded in your brain.
Yeah.
Even a little cartoon, man.
Yeah.
The whole nine, the voice.
See what I'm saying?
All that is
You're
there.
never going to forget that shit. So just think, that's the shit that I was up against, trying to help people forget about that.
That's one of the reasons that was one of the major reasons we wanted to get you on, because the Mr. Allen's or Mr. Allen's Eat, well, now back to Mr. Allen's.
Right.
It went from a transformation, because
yeah.
it wasn't like, after a while, it was like, oh, you got them from Mr. Allen's. Like,
Exactly.
It was like a slight almost.
It was kind of like a sneak.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sneak diss.
And everybody used to shop there. You know what I'm saying? Everybody used to get there, but like, oh, them 2 for 50s, or those,
Yeah.
or you got the back to school specials, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Even though we was still buying it, but it was like this joke. So for me to see that transformation, I'm like,
But let me say this. They made a lot of fucking money.
I'm sure. Hell, I'm sure.
They made a...
I mean, if you're a parent, you got kids,
Right.
you're looking for a deal.
It's a
you
market
want to get
for that.
somebody fresh.
Right.
Or if I want 2 pair of shoes
For $50, that's what I'm going to do.
Or you know what I'm saying? Or you'll wait for the right Tims to come up there on the 2 for whatever.
Yep.
Because you got the other the wrong Tims and the right Tims.
Butt nakeds and the weeds.
So, true story, the owner's son, his name is Jacob Bishop. He came aboard and he saw a void in the market for a better shopping experience in Detroit. Because, you always want to elevate an experience. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing you want to do, whether you're doing a podcast or whether you're doing a retail store, just whatever you're doing. You want the experience to be so fucking dope that people can't wait for you to put out the next something. And that's something that he had envisioned. And he reached out to me and said, hey, man, I can't do this without you. I know what you can do. I'm a fan of yours, and I would like for you to be a part of this team. And it took 1 year. We talk about it to this day. It took 1 year for him to convince me to come over there. Because we was go back and forth. He'll slide me something. I'll slide him something. And, he'd be like, hey, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, yeah. And without them even knowing, I would dip off of Mr. Allen just to see. And I would see the slight transformation of what they used to be to what they're presently is and what they're going to be. And I said, you know what? Let me see some other options. And like I said, it took a year. It took a year for that deal to even get done. And I was like, well, let me try. And I would get criticized like, man, it's over for you. You done went to Mr. Allen's. You could have went here where they're already popping, not just in Detroit, but nationally. And I was like, yeah, but at that time, I didn't want to leave home. I just didn't, because my son was still in high school. I couldn't just uproot my wife, from her family and do things like that, because she has a nice job and she has a career. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take the Mr. Allen deal. And I talked it over with some people in the industry that's very respectable, like a couple people the one thing I don't do, I may say respect in the business and the industry. One thing I don't like to do is name drop. I never want to say, oh yeah, I was kicking it with such and that, because that to me, that just make you look corny.
Yeah, I got you.
You know, I don't want you to look at me because of the people that I know or who can vouch for me. Because I tell people all the time, listen, don't vouch for me because like how Mano, I seen on one of Mano's posts, I'm cool on my own. You know, I'm to me, I'm the shit. I'm dope on my own. Right. I don't need nobody to co-sign for me. Let me do it this way, and people will respect that more. Mm-hmm. So I went in there, got the deal done with Mr. Allen's, and we sat down there, me, him, and his brother Adam, and we was like, how are we going to change this culture? And those are the times when you can say doing it for the culture because of the discount culture. Mm-hmm. And for the first 6 months, all I heard, oh my God, Ty, you at Mr. Allen's? Okay, $29,250. And that's when Jacob came up with Mr. Allen's Elite because you wanted to give it a different name. If you're going to do it, you got to tear it down from the beginning and do it. And that's when the time we launched the 8 Mile and Woodward location. Dope and people will go in there and be like, damn, this don't look like a Mr. Allen's because it's not what you traditionally look for. You don't have the circus carpet. Right. Shit not piled on each other. You don't have a rack full of shit. You don't have 100 shoes on the wall with sale tags on them or nothing like that. You got good premium in-style product.
Like a boutique style.
Yeah. So we did that for 2 years, and I just went on the campaign trail for a year straight, just marketing it. At this time, I'm just on fire with social media. And, you know, people say, well, you know what, since you're over there, you know I'm going to fuck with Mr. Allen's. Okay, I'm going to come down. People started coming, sales started coming up, and people started paying attention to us because I was doing such a fucking hell of a job. People thought I owned Mr. Allen's. And you know, I'd be up front. Nope, I'm just a buyer. I do the marketing, brand ambassador. No. I don't want those headaches because I know what it's like to be an owner and I know the headaches that come with it. So I'm good at spending their money. Let me run up their checks, run up their money and doing this stuff. So
one of my partners actually thought, he was like, hey, I thought, didn't he used to own Mr. Allen's?
Yeah.
I was like, we'll ask him out on the show.
No. I don't want nobody looking at me a certain way, thinking the bag and no, I do not own it. So we branded it to the point where it became hot, not just in Detroit, but in the Midwest and in the country, where now we get product where no other store gets it. And one of the reasons those happened too, because of my relationship and when I started releasing the starter jackets.
Man.
Yeah.
And so I know you want to talk about that. So I'll wait for you to bring that up. We can talk about that as well too.
Man, we can get the starter jackets, man.
Okay.
It was like something that was close to my heart because like when you came up
when I was young, I couldn't afford the starter jackets. I had a starter jacket, but it wasn't the ones I want. It wasn't the one I wanted, and I couldn't afford them. And when I seen these joints come out, I'm like, then the Pistons. Mm-hmm. I mean, because you gotta represent Detroit. Mm-hmm. Then I see certain celebrities out there. I'm thinking like, did they come here to get that?
Remember when Nolan came and he had on that Baltimore Orioles starter jacket that we had never seen before? So I mean, especially the satin joints.
I think I saw like Fat Joe was rocking the Detroit joint. I think I've seen like Dwayne Wade, you know, with the Chicago joint, Snoop.
All the a lot of the Pistons in them, a lot of the Lions.
I'm like, dog, this is just so cold. And I'm like, oh, that's Ty Mopkins? I'm like, man, because I've already, you know how Just Don has his little tag, but when you open up a coat and it got the Ty Mopkins on there, I'm like, that's dope. Like that's some, like I feel he from our city,
right?
So I feel connected to that off rip,
right?
That it means something to me when I can look into something and they got our name on it,
right?
And I mean, and I guess it started with like a lot of the local sports teams. That's where we saw it. Saw first with the satin joints. And I mean that I just remember being young. Unlike you, I remember I got a starter coat when I was probably like in 4th or 5th grade. I got like a satin joint for my parents.
Which one was it?
It was an old school Pistons. And I just remember like the feeling of when I opened up the box and I saw it, like it was out of season, probably in the springtime. I'm still trying to button it on.
Now I would take my cousin had the pullover, the Miami Dolphins pullover boy. So when I used to take that one, I mean, you couldn't tell me I wasn't a man. Right. You know what I'm saying? But like,
it was a status symbol. It meant something.
For sure. But you see that shit y'all just did for the last 5 minutes. That's what I saw a void in. It was a void in emotions. It was a void in, bringing something that meant something to somebody. Because for years, people just put out product, and it didn't mean anything. We just said, okay, yeah, we'll buy it and all that stuff. But when I did the starter jackets, I remember convincing the president of Starter, his name is Carl Banks, and he's from Flint, Michigan, went to school at Michigan State, won 2 Super Bowls with the Giants in the 80s, and he already has a successful sports apparel brand called G3 by Carl Banks. So these are the things that he's already doing. So I remember he acquired the license for Starter. And just like how y'all went, that's how I went to him. And I said, oh, man, Carl, man, we got to, man, please, man, you got to let me bring back these Starter pieces and all that. Because at the time, they was doing a bunch of them, but they wasn't as popping because they did it with Foot Locker.
Yeah.
And, nothing against Foot Locker. Foot Locker is a great company, makes a lot of money, but we not checking at Foot Locker to see what's fresh.
No.
We not, nobody can tell us to go to Foot Locker because, these dope. I got mine from Foot Locker. You need to go get them. We're not doing that no more. Back in the 80s, back in the 80s, we did that because we had no other opportunities. Now we have these things called trendsetters, tastemakers, and everything else that are lucky enough, like you say, like a Just Don, that can collaborate with these companies. Like Just Don does a tremendous job with Mitchell & Ness. Mm-hmm. And so I said, you know what? I want to be the Just Don of Starter. And I said, well, I convinced Carl. I said, hey, man, just let me do 3 of them. Let me do my hometown teams, and let's see how we take it. So I had to do special makeups on those, which is called SMUs. And I said, okay, with the SMUs, you have to do a couple of 100 of them. And this is something that I had to take and convince the Jacob, who now is the president of Mr. Allen's. And sometimes people can't see your vision the way how you do.
Right.
And I can honestly say that with Jacob, anything I ever wanted to do, he supported 100%. He said, listen, I don't understand it, but if you feel it, I got your back. He said in his words to this day, do whatever the fuck you got to do to get us going. Just don't get us sued. Okay. That's his thing. Just don't get me sued. Go do whatever you got to do.
You.
Yeah, I mean, just don't get me sued. So I had a conversation with Carl, and he was like, well, what 3 teams you want to do? And I had to think about the 3 teams that meant the most here in Detroit and what their jacket was back in the day. And I remember that silver Detroit Lions jacket. Yeah. I remember seeing Barry Sanders wearing it. And I remember the Red Wings. I remember seeing a lot of people wear the Red Wings jacket. Then I also remember that Detroit Pistons jacket. The one they used to call the Nelson Mandela one, because if you pull up a picture of Nelson Mandela, one of the pictures that you see of him is in that Piston starter jacket when he came here and he did a speaking engagement at Tiger Stadium. Mm-hmm. But he wore that Piston jacket. And so I said, okay. I said, how many we got to do? And he told me a number, and it's up there. A couple hundred is up there. And I was like, okay, I got to do something. I just can't bring in these jackets and just put them on a shelf.
Right.
And if I do that, it's not going to be as special. So I said, you know what? I was seeing the reaction that Jordan was getting, or certain shoes, or foam posits, or certain Air Force Ones. When they come out, they be a line outside the door. And people always want what they can't have right away. I said, you know what? I'm about to do this, and I'm about to customize it, and I'm about to put a patch in there. And I'm about to create it, and I'm about to give you special packaging, because I saw a void in that. I saw people that was doing collaborations wasn't giving you dope boxing or packaging or shit like that. I said, so once again, I want to create a dope-ass experience for people that's going to buy this jacket. Because at the time, Starter was out the market for almost 7 or 8 years. And you would see Starter in Walmarts and Kmarts, but you would just see socks and underwear from Starter. Mm-hmm. So that was a light. People don't understand that when you get a big brand, you can license out your name to do different stuff. But when they was familiar to seeing Starter in those places. So I said, you know what? Let me pull this back and think about how I want to do it. And at the time, I had a real good relationship with Nate Burleson, who played for the Lions.
Yes.
And he introduced me to Calvin Johnson. which introduced me to a couple more Lions. I said, well, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. And once again, I keep stating social media, because this is the time that social media was doing this. It was crazy. People would be on their phone for 8 hours out the day on social media. And this when Instagram really started popping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had Facebook, and Facebook is cool, but Instagram was where everybody was at.
Right.
And so I was talking to Nate, and I said, Nate, man, I'm about to do these jackets, and if I give you a couple of them, you give them to teammates and take a picture and wear them. He said, yeah, man, Ty, anything for you. I got you, no matter what. So I had a picture of Calvin Johnson, Nate Burleson, Chris Houston. So a lot of the Lions that was wearing it. They're not even that. One of my childhood friends who I grew up with, Jalen Rose. You know, we went to Detroit Southwestern together, and one of my best friends to this day, we talk, we give each other advice on things and all that. And he was like, you know, I went to him. I was like, Jay, if I give you one of these jackets, you know, you take a picture, and he said, man, just send me the damn jacket. So I was accumulating all these pictures of celebrities and actual NFL guys wearing this shit. And I said, okay, I got to do something else. What can I do? I said, I got it. I'm going to put a release date on this. People thought I was crazy. I said, no, I'm going to put a release date on this. Because never before, I don't care what nobody say, I've done the research on it. Nobody has ever put a release date on apparel, ever. They did for footwear, but not apparel. And so I said, okay, when am I going to release this? Now, granted, I got the jackets in July because of the way we had to order it, ship date, shipping, receiving issues, and things like that. I had to bring it in July, and it's hot as fuck outside.
Right.
I can't release it now, so I'm like, damn. When can I release it? And what's the biggest thing here in Detroit with the Lions?
Thanksgiving Day.
There you go. So I said, you know what? I'm about to market the shit out of this, and I'm going to release it the day before the Thanksgiving Day game. Because everybody, I don't give a fuck if we 0-15 at the time, we going to buy some Lions shit to go to the Thanksgiving Day game. It's the home opener and Thanksgiving Day where we're going to at least wear some type of Lions shit.
Absolutely.
So I said, you know what? Okay, cool. So August came around. And then now I'm getting more and more pictures of people wearing it. And I said, yep. So let me just start flooding it with a release date. And it just took off. I Big Greg from Hot 107.5 here in Detroit, DJ BJ, Dr. Darius, JLB, they was shouting it out. They was talking about it like, you know, I was promoting it like I had a fucking album coming out.
Dope.
You know, I would sneak peek pictures, or once a week I would throw a picture of somebody else different in it, like Calvin or Nate Burleson, Jalen Rose, you know, and people would just go crazy. Oh my God, I remember that bitch. And like the emotions what you guys did, that's what I would get from everywhere. Like, oh man, you need to do this, you need to bring this back. I remember my uncle, my cousin, man, my uncle used to be getting them. He had all the starter jackets. So now it's a rah-rah of this shit. And the bubble is just boiling over. And I'm like, oh shit, this shit is real. To the point where I had people was trying to offer me $500, $1,000 just so they could be the first one with it. When that shit happened, I said, it's over. It's over. This shit is going to be crazy. So we released it at one store. That was the Redford store. Do you know we had over 500 people in line? At least 200 went there the night before it came out.
Wow.
And we just fucking couldn't believe it. I just say, oh my God. And people was buying them and selling them in the parking lot for $400, $500 because we sold out so quick. We sold out within 20 minutes of that shit. And I said, oh shit, what's next? So I had the people like, what's next? So I had the Red Wing jacket on deck. And no, I'm sorry, the Piston jacket. And I said, what can I do? So I told the story about the Bad Boys. And I said, now what can I do different from here than I did with the Lions jacket? And that's when I called DJ BJ. I said, yo, I need to do a mixtape. He was like, get the fuck out of here. You ain't rapping. I said, no, I'm not rapping. I said, I'm releasing a jacket, but I need to do a Bad Boys mixtape. And once I broke down the idea to him, meaning that I'm putting snippets of in-game stuff, and when the Pistons won the championship in 89 and 90. So I said, listen, I want to do a mixtape, but I want to do all the number one songs from 1989 and 1990 on one CD. So it was like Poison, BBD, Every Little Step, Ice Ice Baby was all on this CD. But after every song, he would drop inserts of an Isaiah interview or the in-game announcement when we won the championship and things like that. We would play "We Will Rock You," "We Are the Champions," and shit like that. So it was just another. It was just another add-on to Simpson. So we did that one. I released that Christmas Eve because Christmas and everybody go crazy buying shit, and that one went even crazier. So then the Red Wings one came along, sold out of that because traditionally the Red Wings used to always play a game on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So I released that on New Year's Eve, sold out of that. So now I'm 3 jackets in, sold out. The buzz then got back to starter and everything. They're like, man, what the fuck are you doing? People calling us, asking us, can we get a Ty Mopkins starter? Because on the inside,
had a tag on.
Had a tag, and I would always make sure because I had to make sure you knew who that damn jacket came from,
right?
You know, and because people now is catching the wave and they ordering starter, and I'll be honest, they riding my fucking coat waves, so I got to distance myself between them and what they're doing. So we came up with the slogan, yo, if it ain't a Ty Mopkins starter, your ass still on the bench. So get off the bench, be a starter, get this Ty Mopkins from Mr. Allen's.
If it ain't got that Just Down pin on it, it ain't the real hat.
Exactly.
Got the Ty Mopkins
exactly.
in there,
so
off the bench.
At this time, I have a lot of entertainers, athletes that's cool with entertainers. Yo, my man about to come to town. Or people from the radio station, or just everyday people will hit me up and be like, hey, man, such as come to town, man. Can you get them a jacket? Yep, I sure can. You know, my man JD would call me, be like, yo, I got Fat Joe coming to town. You know, can you lace him with a jacket? Yeah, I sure can. Next day, he takes his shit and he wears it on Hot 97 doing an interview with Funk Max the Flash. Funk Max the Flex. But one of the biggest ones so far to this date has been Jeezy. So Jeezy came to town. My man DJ Infamous linked me up with DJ Ace, which is Jeezy DJ, and got it to him. You know, Jeezy already loved Detroit.
Right, he rep.
So he
almost like a son of the
right.
city.
So he rocking that bitch. So now I'm getting calls from everybody, and I've had a lot of help from people that just generally want to see me win, and that's why I tell everybody I don't mind paying blessings for it because blessings have been paid for it to me. You know, and we're here to this day, and this is going to be the biggest season yet for the Jackets. I got a lot of fucking surprises. You thought last year was bigger. I mean, you thought last year was big with Chauncey, Rip, Rasheed, and Ben all wearing them, and you know, that's why people, you know, I can't go anywhere now without somebody saying, yo, which one you got coming out next? So now I see companies like clothing stores, you know, that have a starter account, but they don't have the same kind of starter account that I have, sneak peeking they shit the same way I do stuff. And I'm like, you know what,
that
that's
blueprint
cool.
out there, like,
yeah.
Okay.
But two,
this can work.
But two, it's a retailer out here that I went in just to see their stuff, and he was like, man, you see all them coats up there? And I said, yeah. He said, I at least got 100 coats that's unbuttoned. And I was like, okay. He was like, you know why they unbuttoned? I said, why? It's like, because they checking to see if your name in there. Your name ain't in there, they walk out. And I was like, damn, and that's how I knew it was real for real too. So it's a lot of things that I'm working on that I've learned to not talk about because you don't want the people to get tired of you. I mean, you don't want people to get tired of you. Like, oh my God, this and that. So I've learned how to ghostwrite a lot of shit. And I look back and I see things and I see people going crazy over it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that worked. And, you know, that led me to do collaborations with Fila. I got a lot of shit coming with Fila this year.
Yeah, we just saw you on Instagram the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Fila, that was another one near and dear to my heart.
Fila
them Grant Hills.
Man, Fila had a run, and I almost you remember the feelers that looked like the Air Ones? They had the little strap that hang out the back.
Yeah.
Like the Air Ones
the
took
FX 1000.
It was Fila.
Yeah.
In the orange, the blue, the purple, the gray. Yeah. Like when you had them shits, man, and then Air Force Ones just took off, but them Filas, man. Woo.
Yeah. It was the Grant Hills for me. Grant Hills, Stackhouse had
Grant Hill was that was probably the first designer shoe or name athlete shoe I got. I think I was 7th grade when I had them G Hills.
The Fila pullover,
not the first
winter coats.
I'm glad you said that. So this year, I'm doing a whole ski collection with Fila.
Okay.
So I designed my own Fila ski coat, and I'm bringing back the Fila ski pants.
Okay.
But not even that. I'm doing Fila ski goggles. Because back in the day, we used to always wear ski goggles.
Yeah.
We used to stand on the block or whatever, just bullshit, whatever we did. We used to wear ski goggles. We weren't going skiing, but it was just an accessory piece
For sure.
for us. So, I've been blessed to do stuff with New Era, as far as doing my own Detroit Tiger hats and things like that. So, it's just been humbling, man. I mean, I thank God every day. I also wake up every morning. I just ask God to continue to enlarge my territories and open the right doors for me that was once closed. Just not for me, just so I can have something to pass down to my kids. Or if somebody come to me for advice, somebody do that. I want to be able to help pay blessings on, because I've had people like DJ Envy, Ice Cube, so many people just drop knowledge and dimes on me. Michael Bivens, that just see me working. And they're like, bro, I like what you're doing. Next time, do it this way. Next time, do it that way. And one thing about me, man, I like to talk, but I also know when to shut the fuck up and listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen. Lately, I've been listening more than I've been talking, because I'm getting jewels dropped from people that's already successful and been there and done that.
2 ears, 1 mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a couple other things I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
I know you mentioned the mixtape, and you said you weren't gonna rap on it. Now,
don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
I mean, the streets talk to us too.
The schoolyard bully.
Yeah, I know that guy. But that's when everybody wanted to be a rapper, and Detroit was heavily West Coast influenced.
Mm-hmm.
We listened to Spice One, we listened to E40, Too Short, Mac Dre, all those guys, Drew Down.
Yeah.
All that stuff. So I said, you know what, man? Some of my best friends was already some of the coldest DJs in the city. Their name was the 12 Tech Mob.
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Riff, Lynn Swan, Shotgun, DJ Dez was already DJing for Slum Village. So
you got him up here. We're gonna have him up here soon.
Dez, man, let me tell you something. Dez does not get the credit that he deserves in being a Detroit historian when it comes to music. Like that guy, and I'm not just saying that because that's my brother and I genuinely love him and I know what he's done. But if you do your research, that guy is always overseas. He's always doing stuff. He has created a lot of stuff for hip hop, just not fuck Detroit hip hop, for hip hop. And I just don't think that guy gets enough credit as he do. But as long as I'm talking and I have a platform, I'm always gonna shout him out and let people know like, yo, DJ Dez is fucking dope. So they was like, man, you around here, you saying your little rhymes and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah. And they was like, well, come on, man, just come on, be a rapper. And I was like, nah, at the time it's going to work, dog. You light skin, you mix, dog, just trying to play the whole mix card. Cause my mom white, my dad black. So they was like, yo, people already know you. You got a following in the city. You at Strictly, you doing this. Dog, just come on and rap. If you was to rap, what would your rap name be? And so I remember this one guy, he was like, man, you like a big ass schoolyard bully. And I was like, damn, that's kind of dope. And so it was Schoolyard Bully. First tape I put out, first and last tape. Actually, I say tape because at the time it was what it was.
Yeah,
was tape. Was I paid homage to the neighborhood I grew up in. It was called the 12,000 block of Roseline. And at that time, Detroit radio was really hard to break. You couldn't, we had people at that time like Al Nuke, Bombshell, Lola Damone, Drunken Master.
Yeah.
Trick from way back in the day.
Yeah, Goon Squad, Trick. They was on the radio and they caught hell doing it. And they was cool with Billy T and TJ and everybody that was on the radio. Mm-hmm. But Detroit radio has a lot of politics to it. Yeah. And to this day, I have nothing against Detroit radio. I don't. I have nothing against Detroit radio. I love Detroit radio. Certain DJs on Detroit radio has helped my career tremendously. Like a Big Greg, like a back in the day Spud, DJ BJ, Dr. Darius and all that. Paige Young when she was here, Shorty the Prince when he was here, things like that. Foolish, Mason, everybody. But it's kind of hard to get in Detroit, but some people, like these rappers nowadays, they're so focused on getting in Detroit radio. But I tell them all the time, like, why are you wasting your time doing this? Because when was the last record a Detroit station broke? I'm just being real. I love them, but
man, I be asking these folks, like, when the last time you listened to the radio?
That's true too.
You want your record on the radio, but you don't even listen to the radio.
Because I think sometimes they're more focused on having that success and having that name at home than what it could be. Because you don't, like you say, it's number one is hard getting your song on the radio.
Yeah.
They don't break records.
The last record or only record I think Detroit radio has broken was "I'm Out Here." Dusty McFly.
Well, no,
and
I can say
know if that even went national like that.
I can say DJ BJ had a hands-on in T Grizzly first.
Oh, for sure.
He had a hands-on with that. But look how long it took. You know what I'm saying? And DJ BJ went across the grain and did it. You know, at the end of the day, he was like, "Fuck that! This shit is dope. I got to play it." And he did it. And he helped break it. You know, look at all the times that Blade wasn't in rotation. You know, things like the Hot Cheddar Boys wasn't in rotation when we was coming up.
Yeah, because now, like, I'm talking about the first 1 second of that beat, people go crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And you mean to tell me that couldn't get on the radio?
Right. And in rotation. But it's not the jock's fault. It's not that. It's the higher heads. Yeah. And that's what I want people to understand, too.
Program directors. It come from the corporation.
Yeah, it come from the corporation. Yeah. And that's the thing that I want people to understand, too, that it's not the DJ's fault. They can only go by the format that they're given to do.
I know DDT had the What's Next on the menu. He was the first one to play our records. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I remember myself working on a smaller station for quite some time. I would come into work. I had a playlist, and that's what you played. I didn't vary from it. When I would so-called take requests, I would just record people asking for the songs that were coming on later on the playlist. I just play it then, and it makes it fit, just to give it that feel.
Yeah, radio is more of a business now.
For sure.
Because they took the power of the DJ away, like disc jockey. You used to listen to the radio to listen to the personality. Whatever song they drop, it's like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Right.
But you used to listen to it. And I think that's why podcast is just the thing to do right now. Because now, guess what? Nobody can tell you what to say on this thing. You own this. Y'all got this. Y'all can talk about whatever the fuck y'all want to talk about. Do whatever. And that's the power that, lately, like last year, I was given an opportunity to have a radio show. But I was like, you know what? If I can't do it my way, I don't want to do it because I'm not about to play what y'all playing. I'm going to play my type of music, what I want to hear, that I know the people want to hear. That's when the opportunity came with the podcast thing. We can talk about that. I know you want to talk about that too.
So let's talk about your podcast.
Okay. Well, we're doing this thing now. It's called, we're 2 episodes in. It's called the Ty Mopkins Show. And I was recommended to do it because of, one, the people who I know and just an influence that I have. And so far in, I'm not going to say that it's a traditional podcast. 'Cause I know people put podcasts up weekly. Now I want to be a little different, so I'm just doing mine monthly. And I'm just doing a half an hour. I'm getting in, getting out. And because of the people that I have lined up for my podcast, it's kind of hard to get in contact. Their schedule fluctuates and all that. So like my first guest was Carl Kanai. That's been my mentor for years. And I wanted to do him right before the Tupac movie came out because his clothes is all through that. And matter of fact, let's talk about this. Have you guys seen the Tupac movie?
I haven't yet.
No, I can't say I have.
People, they ruined it for me.
I get that because that's how I feel about this upcoming Detroit movie.
I just went and saw that Thursday.
We could talk about that too. So, 2 of my jackets made the movie because they contacted Starter for starter jackets to put in the movie for its wardrobe and all that. So that gray Detroit Lions and the Bulls jacket that y'all saw Dwayne Wade wear and Jimmy Butler, that made the movie too. So that was just another notch with the starter thing. But I wanted to put that on there on the heels of the Tupac movie. Then my second guest so far has been DJ Envy. Like DJ Envy has been one of the guys who has helped me no matter what. And DJ Envy is definitely a difficult guy to get in conversation with and to get in touch with. And when he said I got 20 minutes, then I'm dropping what I'm doing and I'm doing it, Skyping it. So one of the guys who is executive producer of it, he's a Detroit radio legend. His name is Spud.
Of course.
Yeah.
So Spud is producing it and getting everything going and all that, and he's been pushing me to do more shows. You know, Spud, man, Ty, man, we gotta do it week. We gotta do that. And I say, I get what you're saying, but I want to do it a little different. You know,
I mean, clearly, your ideas of what you want to
Right.
do typically work out. So
right.
I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
So we got people like Kareem Biggs. He's going to be a guest on there. Of course, yeah. And you know, Biggs don't talk to nobody.
I've only heard 2 interviews with Kareem.
Yeah, but then these are the relationships that I have with these guys, and they're like, Ty, listen, man, whatever you want to do, we're gonna do it, and I just want to see you fucking win. Just do it. And so I'm not gonna say the other 3 guests. I'm gonna be more of a surprise, but I always tell people whenever I do shit, just think the unthinkable. And I say that because I came from the 12,000 block of Roseline on Grand River and Livernois, right off Oakman, and where a lot of opportunities wasn't given. They just wasn't there, you know. And I just want somebody that's from that area, but also from the east side, southwest side, north end, to see like, damn, that guy did it. And he didn't suck a stroke. He didn't suck socks. He didn't jock hop. He didn't crew hop. He did that shit just off the grind. And my grind, my road has been longer than anybody's to do it. You know, I don't have a college education. I don't have degrees. I don't have none of that shit. But the one thing they tell me all the time, you have a degree in common sense. And one thing, and that's one of probably the hardest degrees to get, because a lot of people don't have common sense. And I have street smart. So I just did a post today on my Instagram. It was like, listen, if you want to be successful, you got to have a mixture of both street and corporate around you. Mm-hmm. And you got to have that kind of knowledge too, because the corporate is just as grimy as the fucking streets. And I've been in the streets a long time, right? I've been in the streets a long time. And one of my mentors told me this yesterday. He was like, listen, you take what you learn from the streets, and this is a successful millionaire in business. And he said, just take what you learn from the streets and learn to do that shit corporate. You're going to be a beast. Because I'm not the best when it comes to computers, technology. You know, back in my era, we didn't fuck with no phones or nothing like that. We had beepers, or, you know, we just didn't fuck with a lot of people when it came to this type of shit, because this type of shit to get you hemmed up. But now it's like you got to take a step back, like, okay, well, damn, it is okay to use this. I can do that. So now I'm learning how to, you know, and I'm not ashamed to say the shit, you know, because I'm weak in this, but can't nobody fuck with me when it comes to this. So it's kind of like I need to learn how to balance the two. Or maybe that's God's way of showing me that I need to give somebody opportunity to do this for me so they can get on and they can get on a certain bridge too. Sometimes God build bridges for you to cross over, but to bring people back over the bridge as well too. Mm-hmm. But sometimes those bridges are to dump people over them too. I'm just saying. Yeah. So, you know, we're doing that once a month. The next episode is coming soon. Surprise guest, I'm not going to say. But with me, you just think the unthinkable. And I think that's why a lot of people fuck with me, because when it comes to entertainers and celebrities, I don't look at them like that, because I've been around motherfuckers like that my whole life. Mm-hmm. It's just like last night, BBD was here. Me and Biv kicked it. And it was like we grew up next door to each other. And that's the type of relationship that in business you have to have. Nobody want that person next to them all the time. Yo, this, that, and it's like you a groupie or things like that. It's just like, nah, man, we at an age now, man, where we gotta conduct this business. Let's get this shit going, you know. And I got some people around me, man, that's well rounded, like the twins, AJ and SJ. They got the College of Hip Hop.
Dope brothers.
You know, man, let me tell you something. I've been knowing them guys, you know, for forever, and I seen they hustle and they drive, and they come from fucking Inkster. Yeah. Jewels come from inner cities. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The inner city has talent and stars. We just got to make a way to be seen. You know, they gave me opportunity to fucking executive produce a movie, you know, about my dog. Not my boy, but my dog, Chewy, my real Yorkie Terrier. You know what I'm saying? It's about right. So if you get a chance, you can go to haveyouseenchewy.com and check out the movie. We actually put a fucking movie together. You know, that's type of shit that's
crazy.
You know, you don't get opportunities to do that.
So we eternally grateful to SJ and AJ, because, you know, they reached out to us, did some advertisement. We had them in here. Right. And really based on that relationship that we've developed or still developing with them, they've opened up some doors for us that, you know, 6 months ago I didn't even think were possible.
Right. I mean, we had Freeway Rick Ross.
The real Rick Ross.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The real.
Much love to the College of Hip Hop, SJ and AJ, man. Dope brothers.
Oh yeah,
man.
nah, man. You know, and just like, you know, they, and I'll be honest, at times, and I don't want nobody to take this shit the wrong way. At times, because I do have a lot on my plate. I'm not the most reachable person ever, but, you know, AJ called me. He was like, yo, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to hook up with these young brothers, you know. Just give them a couple minutes of your time and all that, which is you guys. I was like, I got you. See, certain people, and it's just like in fucking life, man. It's who you know that's going to further you where you're going. It's about who you know, your connections and all that. Because, you know, I'm not, I swear to God, I'm not saying this in a fucking arrogant way. I'm not. But I done turned down a lot because I know I couldn't go do this right away because I got other shit I'm doing here and doing that shit there. But then, too, that's just a test to show how good the twins are. You know what I'm saying? I do whatever for them because I know it could be 4 o'clock in the morning. And if I'm calling AJ, he going to answer and he going to be there. And SJ not going to be far behind. And those type of people, man, you got to keep close in your circle.
Absolutely,
Definitely.
man. Man, we definitely just appreciate you, man, coming in and dropping a wealth of knowledge,
Right.
A wealth of history
Right.
on us, and just representing the city well.
Right.
Because when you win, like I feel like I'm winning by default, you know, just because you're representing and everything that you do, man.
And that's the thing I want people to see too. I just want, you know, don't just think it's me. It's just that I've been blessed with opportunity for you to see me. It's 20, it's 50,000 me's here in this city that care about Detroit just as much as I do. My goal is to help bring that bridge and bring attention to them because my window is only going to be open for so long. And I know that. So my mission is to get enough people going through there, whether you want to be a clothing designer, and maybe one day I'll come back and we could talk about that. Because now people see what I'm doing and they think that they can just make one T-shirt and come out with a clothing collection.
Right.
And
it's just a T-shirt, fam. It's just a T-shirt.
But I never, that's how I want to tell them, but I don't want to discourage them because my story came from just one T-shirt, how I started with this stuff years ago. And, you know, I'll come back and we'll talk about that, you know, we'll get it going. And, you know, I'm hooking up with AJ and SJ, and you guys can be definitely a part of this too, about how do we become entrepreneurs the right way? Absolutely. We so quick to say we are owner or a CEO or a boss for a business card. Just to give it to somebody. Oh yeah, here go my card. Yeah, I own this. I'm a boss. I do this. But we don't understand the reality and what it takes to really be a CEO or a boss or things like that.
Run a business,
or run a company.
Give someone instructions so they can maneuver through your business without you.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just it's a lot that goes into
exactly.
it.
Because like if you want to do a T-shirt line, why do you really want to do it? Why? That's the question that I get asked all the time, even to this day when I come with my ideas. They say, well, why? I got to sit back and be like, well, 9 times out of 10, we want to do it because we want the attention for it, but we don't understand the power that comes with that shit.
Exactly.
So I just want to teach people about the power.
Most definitely.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Give out your social media. Where can we reach you at? Where can they contact you?
Well, right now at Instagram, you can follow me at team, TEAM_MOPKINS. That's really the main thing. Or, you know, Twitter and Facebook, you know, it's Ty Mopkins and all that. And, you know, pretty much whatever. You can go on Instagram, hashtag Ty Mopkins, and a whole lot of shit will come up. Yeah. YouTube, all that stuff. And, you know, just stay tuned to the next episode of Ty Mopkins Podcast, Ty Mopkins Show.
Most definitely. We definitely appreciate you.
Yeah.
Dame
Gone Wild, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and more than anything, we just want to push everybody towards the Shop Talk Podcast page because I got enough followers. Yeah. I mean, not to say I got enough, but, you know, the focus is on the brand. So Shop Talk Podcast for everything.
But one thing, I'm glad you said that because just because you only got a certain amount of followers don't mean you have more followers than what you got.
Oh, definitely.
Because a lot of people scared to press that follow button because they don't want to make it seem like, you know.
They watching.
You know, yeah. I tell people all the time, you know, oh, man, this picture only got 8 likes. Don't go by the likes. Go by the looks. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, you have in the thousands of looks.
Because that's definitely true. With the business page, you can see how many people actually reach that.
Yeah.
And then on my personal account, forget how many likes it is. When you put an Instagram video up there and you see all those
impressions,
like you ain't never liked or did nothing, but you watch every one of these things. So
they out there.
Yeah,
that's why you got to keep going. Don't get discouraged. I tell people all the time too. Don't get discouraged by social media likes. Don't.
It ain't real.
It's not. Social media is not real. It's a fantasy world.
Yeah, it's a fantasy world, but it also can help you bridge to what you're doing. It's a great marketing device. That's all. All it is. This is social media. It's a flyer. Mm-hmm. People choose to put their life up there. People choose to do that, but nothing against that, because sometimes people need to do that to help better them. Because sometimes people need an outlet. I think about, and this is going way off the subject. I think about depression and all that. Mm-hmm. And I think social media has helped people really fight depression, because if you didn't have an outlet to let go of all the shit that was bothering you,
what would you keep?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a gift and a curse. Gift and a curse.
Definitely. All right, Jay Johnson 313, all social media. Follow Shop Talk Podcast on Instagram. Go to the website, shoptalkpod.com. All the episodes, all the video and everything is there. Like we see every week, I'm not saying we're the Rockefeller podcast, but we are Jay and Dame.
Peace.
Peace.